I love you. I love you. I love you all. I love marketing. I really do. I'm a son of a marketeer, grew in marketing. I love marketing. I love marketeers. That's an amazing job. But let me tell you a story. I love marketing so much that a few years ago I was very proud of being a marketeer. Very proud of myself. Probably I watched too much of Mad Men. But in that context, I felt that it was an advantage of being a marketeer. So we are in this nightclub with a friend of mine, and two girls are coming up, and they talk with us, and after a few moments they say, "What are you doing for a living?" So there I am, very proud. I say, "I'm a marketeer." They left. So my friend sitting next to me said, "Hey, we're joking. We're firemen." And they came back. So at that moment, I'm wondering, what did we do? Watching Mad Men in the 60s, where marketeers, advertisers were great people. People were in love with marketeers. Why? Nowadays, being a fireman is a lot more cool than being a marketeer. What did we do to the job? So nowadays, being a marketeer makes girls escape. So I started to look around and ask myself, what can we do for that? There is a need for change. So let me explain. This number is the number of hours I've spent in front of a dead screen being a marketeer. 22,850 hours in front of a screen doing PowerPoint like a rat. No wonder they're escaping. You don't want to be with somebody who's just doing PowerPoint all day, trying to make business plans. It's not fun. You have no idea. Some of you probably have experienced that. The others, please don't. Meetings. I fell asleep in so many meetings, and I drank coffee listening to my friends' business plans, trying to make consumers dream, but making me sleep already in the room. And I had other coffees and coffees in bad cups. You have no idea how much caffeine I had to intake just to survive as a marketeer. That's not cool. So finally, being a marketeer also makes you do ingredient lists where even the toughest lawyers are being scared. So there is one moment where, if you look around nowadays in Europe, 1 out of 2 sick leave is burnout. People being burned out as marketeers. I've seen marketeers crying in front of their PCs. You don't want to do that. How can you make people dream if you're crying in your own job? That doesn't work. Let me explain to you how marketing has evolved and why we reached that stage. In the 30s, just here, we were in what we call the production area. The production area is an amazing time where we had to produce more and more. So we did more cars, we did more buildings, and the magic figure of plus 10, plus 12% was being there as a result. And we produced and produced. Marketing was very easy, just controlling the production. Then we entered in the consumption area. Because what happens when you start producing, people consume. That's a simple fact. And they consumed and consumed and consumed. At that moment, the marketeers, the Mad Men area, made a lot of money. That was great to be a marketeer. You were rich, handsome, and everybody was consuming your product. You were the chief dreamer. The problem is, with the competition arising, the crisis arising, all of a sudden, people started to consume less. So the marketeers had great ideas. They started to communicate. They did great advertising. But the problem is, again, with competition, less time to speak, they started to tell funny stories, bad stories, they started to lie. So the marketeers arrived in hell. They sold their soul. And when they arrived in hell, they can see the flames. So what they do? They sat on the pile of cash they had before this era, and all of a sudden it was nice. It was just warm, and it was a nice feeling. But the marketeers, a few years later, started to arrive in hell with very little cash under the bottom. And I can tell you that they start to feel the flames a lot more. They get fired, they get burnt out, they have so many troubles, consumers leaving, the companies are going down, and so forth. So that's where I'm coming in, to tell them now we are in what we call the area of relationship, of relation. In that area, people know you. If you work in a company, you have so many friends who know you that you're not a marketeer on your ivory tower. You are at 6% from anybody on earth. That's a mathematical fact, and it's even reducing now. So I can tell you, I made the test between me and Bill Gates, 1 person. Between me and Pink Floyd, left of it, 1 person. In that context, and I'm not a jet setter at all, really not. But can you imagine that? We are so close from anybody on earth. So you don't want to be doing a product that people will talk nasty about. In this context, we used to take the cash out of consumers, and they loved us for that. They did. But nowadays, if we don't give our heart and our soul to what we're doing, they will not give that cash anymore. They don't want to. What they do is they will pay us for what we give, what we really have. And that's a change in attitude. I'm here today to tell you that you can do the best strategy ever as a marketeer, marketing models. My kid can learn that. That's very easy. It's 3 simple things. But having the right behavior so your strategy means something for the consumer is something different. This is why my advice tonight is about selling your soul. Actually, no, offering your soul. Because if you're selling it, that means you're doing wrong advertising. So offer your soul. This is a concept which is quite funny. The soul is the reunion of energy, time, conscience, authenticity, and love. You know what? I spend my time going around the world and speaking to very scary CEOs, and they tell me I have an issue with my company. We're not doing the double-digit growth we used to. So how can you help? And I talk about love and energy. You know what happens? They look at me like, damn. They call their secretary and they say, who's that guy? You know, I don't need some therapist or whatever. I just need, you know, a guy that means business. So they thank me, I leave the room, and for 1 year they never talk to me again. They actually work with big consultants, you know, guys that really mean business, talking double-digit growth, talking profit and so forth. Those guys, that's what they want to hear. But 1 year later, when they actually don't get that profit, when they don't reach their target, they call us again. And I start explaining a bit more about what is the soul of the brand, what is the soul of the company, and how they can bring love and energy. So this is why tonight I'm going to speak a bit about this love and energy I can bring in companies. First, love. Ha! I love this. You've all heard about this story about lasagna made of horse meat? Yeah. So there is one guy, marketing officer, probably chief marketing officer, you know, big car, nice suit. He's going to Romania and he sees horses coming in the factory and lasagna coming out. 3 options. First, he doesn't know what a horse looks like. He's like, wow, beefs in Romania are big. I don't know. You think so? No. Second, the guy sees horses coming in and he knows that a horse costs $1, a sick horse, and a beef $10. So he's made $9 profit. So he's very happy, you know, hoping that he will have sufficient cash in hell. You know, remember the burning bottom? Or thirdly, he never went to Romania. He doesn't even know what is his end product. But you know, how much love does he have for his consumers, for his employees, and even for the employees of other companies? Because lasagna companies went bankrupt, even those with beefs inside. So those guys, they have a responsibility. How can you love people, humans, if you're doing something like this? This is about loving your consumers also. You know the housewife less than 50? You know this concept. It was invented in the 80s by crazy marketeers who realized that it was the biggest chunk of the population. But hey, 30 years or 40 years later, the housewife less than 50 is now a lot more than this. She's about 50. So now we don't talk about housewives less than 50, we call them the 1855. That's how marketeers talk about their consumers, the 1855. That's amazing. You know, you would talk like this about your mom, about your sister, about your wife. Oh, you're an 1855? That means also as a marketeer that after 55 you're dead. Bearing in mind that 70% of the cash belongs to the 50 plus. So the marketeers nowadays, they're just scratching for the 30 or 40% that remains. This is not about loving your consumers. You need to love them, really understand them with empathy. We call it shit in, shit out. It's very simple. I've seen so many marketing directors yell at their teams, yell at their agencies, saying, you'd better be creative by tomorrow. That helps. Yes, the quality of the word that comes out is usually quite amazing. You know, I had friends of mine coming crying, he's asked for this for tomorrow. Yes, she made an amazing job. You know, consumers were fighting for her product afterwards. Because in this context, a few years ago, you know, when I talk about the marketeers in hell, but the agencies were sitting next to them also with a pile of cash. But nowadays, agencies don't get the bonuses. They don't get that. They work by respect, they work by love, they get. Same for the teams. Nobody gets fancy cars anymore. Nobody gets fancy bonuses anymore. Hardly any. So in this context, you will work with love. What you do is what you get from your consumers. And finally, love yourself. How many people really love themselves? And I'm not talking about ego or being fond of yourself. Loving yourself is taking care of yourself. You guys here, the next generation coming in the companies, do not accept. I've seen so many marketeers burnt out, completely burnt out. How much will you be prepared to accept in terms of pressure, in terms of being told off, in terms of evaluation, telling you that your long-term strategy is lacking focus? What are you meaning here? It's just telling you that you don't get your bonus because the envelope is too small. But how many pressure will you take on? Love yourself. Do not accept what's going to happen next. This is about energy. Actually, this picture is from my partner, and she will actually be very mad if she knows that I'm using that picture. But she's given everything she had, and there is one moment where you need to stop. What can you do to actually get energy? You know what companies do to get you motivated? They give you objectives. +4%. You have a nice CEO coming in like this. You're all the employee of X company, and say, next year we're going to do +4%. Wow, very motivating. Can you imagine Napoleon or Mel Gibson on his horse in Braveheart saying, we'll increase our territory by +4%? You would die for that? You turn around and you escape gently. You don't die for +4%. This is not an objective, this is a result. What you need to do is make people dream. Give them human objectives. Also, how do you get energy? Most of the people say, yeah, go to the gym once per month. A bit of running and a beer behind. That doesn't resource your brain. Get some energy. Don't watch reality TV. In innocence, they have fresh time. Alarms. Every 2 hours, you have to get out and resource your brain. Do something. Authenticity. I love babies. You know what babies have? They have the capacity in their brain, because they can't speak and don't understand the language, to understand non-verbal signals. Pheromones. They know when you're not authentic. So you know when you visit a friend and the baby is ugly, you go to the hospital and you're like, oh! What do? You smile and you're like, Yazoo! And the baby cries because he knows you're not authentic. But as adults, we also know, we can feel it in our belly when a brand is not authentic, when somebody is giving you lies about products. We can feel it. So be authentic. Don't sell crap. You can't do that. Shit in, shit out. Finally, time. Take and give time. Time is an amazing thing. It's a sign of respect. You know the word ASAP? In English it means any strategy, any priorities. It works in French as well. So in this context, when somebody says ASAP, he's just pushing his mess towards you. And the worst you can get is the word small or quick. If you hear that word, escape, run away. This is somebody trying to expel his guilt, asking you for something he doesn't want to ask. So, can you do me a small or quick analysis? Can you do a quick business plan? Oh, I quickly need this. That means your work is not important. Do it quick. As an agency or as a team or as a partner, don't accept the word small or quick. Escape from that. Finally, once you hear all this, you have a choice as marketeers, but at any employee or any project you're working on, to fly like eagles or to scratch with the chickens, to pay attention to details, to still remain with the old methodology we had. There is a time for changing. And in this context, I don't have any slides anymore to talk to you about one thing. Brands, projects, whatever you do, is made by humans for humans. So my advice to you in this context, start acting as humans. Humans mean love and energy. All you need is love. That is true. So get some energy and give some. Get some love for yourself, love yourself and share it, and then you will grow. So remember, be humans, and please keep on loving. Thank you.